Hello, and welcome to the Scoundrel Shard, episode 15. I know it's been some time, but I haven't really died. I'm back and ready to look into some interesting matches of Shardbound. Now, this is a game I played this morning at a very early hour. My daughter was up, and I wasn't thinking as well as I could have been. And so the idea behind this video is that we're going to look at how to play when you've made mistakes, how to come back when you've misclicked or when you chose a poor line of play and you've realized it immediately afterwards, and kind of what that mindset looks like and how to get yourself back into from a losing position. We start off really strong. This deck, I will post a link to it in the comments. This deck focuses on a couple of different lines of win condition. It runs Bless the Meek because you pretty much cannot play orange effectively without running Bless the Meek, but it also runs cards like Advanced Scout to try and drop either Evangelist or the one copy of the 6 casting cost artifact that deals 5 damage a turn onto the high ground immediately to try and gain a little advantage that way. Also runs 2 Ascensions to accomplish the same purpose. It also runs 2 of the relics that allow us to get 2/1 minions every time we play a spell. So it has a couple of different win conditions. I originally made this deck as an answer to the popularity of both Thrall decks and seedling decks that were becoming pretty prevalent. I wanted a way to have a one-turn way to shut down all of the minions on the board. So early on we get the turn 2 Vigil Keeper, and because of our positioning here, he ran around this way, which allows us to play the Vigil Keeper there with no risk whatsoever. This is excellent because it means we don't have to play a spell immediately. Most of the time you want to play a spell as soon as possible just to give the Vigil Keeper that extra protection, because that's when it's at its strongest. When it can attack, lose its shield, kill something, then you play another spell to immediately regain the shield. In this case, because of our positioning, we are allowed to go several turns without playing a spell. And as you can see, we have the Tome Keeper, which is going to lead into the spell. Now, we have the Evangelist, but the Evangelist is not super important to us just quite yet. The Lightspear Justicar is much more important. This maybe is a bit of an overplay. Generally, you want to look to get 2 Lightspears out of your Lightspear Justicar, and obviously we're set up here to only get the 1. Maybe it would have been better to pull back a little bit, or even just stay right there and make them walk forward if they wanted to kill the Justicar. It was providing excellent zone control. That being said, we have a handful of gas. We've got another Tome Keeper. We've got plenty of spells. We could drop the Evangelist this turn even. He's going to have to spend this turn dealing with the Lightspear Justicar, even though it's just 1 attack. Now, this pumped up combat medic is a little bit of a problem for us. It's back far enough that even if we get an Ascension, we can't just walk all the way up. As you can see, it's only 3 spaces there. There's still that 4th space. So we don't have a quick way to get rid of it, which is one of the reasons it was important to go for the Lightspear, because that gives us that extra 2 damage from range so that we could, if we needed to, spend an extra turn getting there. But again, 2 Lightspears would have been perfect because we would have been able to just clear it from the board. Go ahead and look at playing the Evangelist here. My idea is to get 1 damage of ping down, then walk the Evangelist up next turn. That gives me the 2nd point of damage. Even if he takes care of the Evangelist this turn, that means that I can just ping and Lightspear to kill off the med frame tech. I think at this point I start playing a little sloppy. I'm looking at my hand saying I've got 2 Bless the Meek, so I'm going to have lots of card advantage. I've got another Tome Keeper, so I'm going to be able to draw into the spells I need. And they walk up into the Evangelist, and I'm just like, great, I can literally just step up here, deal 3 damage for free, and still do damage to the med frame tech. It's going to be amazing. But I neglected the fact that they played a strike pack earlier, or not the strike pack, they have the Hound class mech. They're able to play that down and take out the Vigil Keeper for free. again, I got a little bit greedy in not playing spells sooner than this. I could have played a Bless the Me class turn. I wasn't in any danger. I didn't need to play the Evangelist. I had the Light Spear for the extra value. I didn't even have to not spend mana. So at this point, my own greed is punishing me. It's still, I think, the best play to step up, deal 1 damage to everything, or to the Medframe tech, and deal 3 damage to them. I still think that's the best play. I use the Ascension to block off the Medframe tech from being able to kill the Evangelist, and to get myself out of this position over here where I'm about to take 6 damage for free. We're already kind of short on damage. We get the second Vigil Keeper up, and this time I immediately use the Light Spear to trigger it. I get the Medframe tech down. We're not looking like we're in horrible position at this point. We're down 3 life, but we're not down on board position, and the Evangelist makes it very difficult for them to play minions because they know they're going to take 1 damage. Even now, they're having to run back to try and deal with my board position because they are suddenly the one facing pressure to the face. That Raptor Reeve Wing makes things a little bit more difficult because now we have to play around Splash. And it's really interesting. This is the turn where I just no-brain and mess up. I grab a hold of my hero, and I'm like, okay, I think I can make the shot here. Obviously, I cannot make that shot without stepping down. But if you mouse over, it'll give you the attack option and then automatically move, which puts me down here, which is not where I want to be because that upgrade engineer is going to come in and hit me in the face, along with the Reeve Wing if it wants to. So there's mistake number 1. Now I'm kind of panicking, and I'm like, well, I'll just step up here. Oh, crap. Now I've played in 2 Reeve Wing splash damage so that they can come down here, attack my hero, and I'm going to lose my Evangelist for free. So at this point, we are not in the best of shape. I go ahead and play a Quill Blade followed by a Bless the Meek to try and establish enough cards that I can get back board position. Now, fortunately, we do have the shield up on our Vigil Keeper, so that Hound class mech isn't going to be able to kill it this turn, especially since the Raptor Reeve Wing is going to come in and attack us for sure. Getting rid of that Evangelist for free is huge. So we're not going to lose our Vigil Keeper this turn, and that helps us out a bunch. However, we are going to go down to 9, and we still have to deal with this Raptor Reeve Wing and the Upgrade Engineer. I don't agree with his positioning and moving back here because this is always an open space. There's no great way to handle that. He should have stayed over here maybe so that then the next turn he could have gone all the way over here and saved his unit for another turn. You always want to be looking to save units as long as possible. It is always worth the effort to find the positioning that allows you to keep your units around because sometimes that extra 3 points of damage is exactly what you need in order to win the game. Now, he plays his Queen's Guard here, and this allows us the opportunity to come back into the game. Against orange and against yellow, you always have to expect splash to come from the hand. Red has splash, as we saw with the Reeve Wing, but it has to play it first. Everybody else has to be stuck with the Shockblade Summoner, but yellow and orange can play splash from the hand and get surprise on you. And so your best bet is to always assume, especially in positions like this, that they're going to have it. As you can see, I'm able to pump up the Quill Blade and go 3 for 0 versus his army. And now I'm in a position where I can start to come back. Yes, the Zapper Gizmo can run up and kill the Quill Blade, but he takes both of his attacks doing that, and he loses his Zapper Gizmo for free. He plays his hero power, which is as red as what you want to be doing as often as possible once you're in the late game. You should never miss a hero power in the late game because it's just pure card advantage. And he throws the defense matrix on the Zapper Gizmo, which makes that play quite a bit better than it was. From here, we have to start rebuilding our position. Now, the Holy Armory is going to help us immensely because it means that we can start creating flying minions and take out his weakened gizmos without having to risk our main units. The Holy Armory units can be considered incredibly expendable, especially in a deck like this where we have double Tome Keeper in hand. We know that we're going to get the spells, but we also want to set up for a strong later game. And so the question here was between, do we play the Skyborn Crusader this turn and no other spells, or do we play a Tome Keeper and try and get a 2-1 up to help take care of his board position? We go with the Tome Keeper. Most of our spells cost 2, so with 3 mana left, we luck out and we get the Vaporize, which means that we can go into a second 2 mana creature. So we get the second Tome Keeper. Again, we want to be pushing our spells to get as many Holy Armory tokens out as we can. Now, for the Vaporized Stone, we have to be very careful about what boulder we destroy. We don't want to destroy any of these because we want our cover. We don't want to destroy this one because it gives him an extra summoning portion. So we destroy this one back here. It doesn't destroy cover for us, and it gives us the secondary summoning option if we need it. Those sorts of choices are things you need to think about ahead of the game. You need to know where the stones are that you would destroy in a specific instance so that you don't have to spend your turn time trying to figure out, especially in a situation like that where you have a very short amount of time left because the Vaporized Stone came up at the end of the turn. Now, I don't agree with him running this weaponized gizmo up. It adds no value. It obviously was not going to attack this turn. If he'd left it back here, he would have been able to use it in a future turn. As it is, it just dies for free. Again, he is not taking care of his creatures in a way that allows him to maximize their use. The Winged Blade, we're going to pump it to get rid of the Zapper Gizmo so that we don't have to worry about him being able to ping off things as needed. We take out the weaponized gizmo for free. We're just going to leave these guys here as a guard against that Astral Phoenix because that is offering a huge threat this way. We just cannot really walk up there because that Astral Phoenix could just straight up kill us. We go ahead and play our 5/5 in a safe spot. We know that we're going to be able to give it flying next turn. And then we cover our Vigil Keeper with this Quartermaster. We don't need to play the Pillar of Judgment anytime soon, but it often gives us a free it often gives us a free removal spell if they push in too hard, and it's a great option if we need to take care of the Astral Phoenix. Now, I realized after I had played that 2/3 that he was not going to be able to kill the Vigil Keeper short of a personal portal device because I'd taken out everything up here. And so the extra 4 damage there is just a freebie. He has to run away from this position. And so now we're trading threat ranges. We have threat range down this side, and he has threat range down this side. He tries to counteract that by playing the Queen's Guard here, which I think is an excellent play. The Queen's Guard should almost always come down as a 5/7 unless you have board position. Otherwise, it's a super efficient creature on stats and does a great job of protecting this zone. It could easily you could easily spend 2 creatures getting rid of it, which at forecasting cost makes it an excellent advantage there. At this point, though, we have lethal on board, if you can see it. Everything that we need to kill them is already in hand. And this is the biggest point in trying to be able to come back from games that you should otherwise lose. That Raptor Lifewing is super threatening because if it gets 2 hits, we're out of the game basically, or we're going to a very long game. But as it is, because we have such good card advantage, and because this Vigil Keeper's alive, we are allowed to completely punish what should have been a 1 game for him. Again, this game comes down to 2 basic mistakes. My mistake walking from here to try and shoot, and then his mistake in trying to box me in against orange. Boxing in is a good strategy, but you have to expect that orange is going to be able to play to splash damage, and I had the Quillblade on the board when he went for the box in. So at this point, I'm just looking. You can see me taking my time looking for the lethal. This is why I play with the time counter always up, so I know how much I have, and so I found the lethal. We're going to ascend ourselves up here. This triggers flying, and then we can pump either one of these creatures. It doesn't matter. We get 5 in here, or 6 in here, which brings them to 8. We do another 4 there, and then we can just play double Light Dancer and attack for the last damage. I hope this video has helped you kind of think through situations that you may find yourself behind, and we will see you on the next episode of the Scoundrel Shard.